Rowley apologized for roads. Archie, you could believe that? 8 years. Road collapse. Roads all across this country. Geographical discrimination by Keith Christopher Rowley. Lack of maintenance. No cohesion between the Ministry of Public Utilities, the Minister of Man who knows nothing about WASA and did not know that leaks break pressure and therefore water can't go up the hill. This man and the Minister Rohan Sinanan, who only know about how to build road to Hipam Zanilla and building $250 million highway to see Monkey and Guti with the Iguana and a big roundabout, and you turn right, you end up in the bush. That Rohan Sinanan for all you. And the Minister of Man collapsing the infrastructure of this country for 8 years. For 5 to 6 years, over 4 billion gallons of water have been gushing out under our infrastructure from leaks in WASA that is headed by the minister who don't know that leaks break pressure. He also don't know that water that undermine foundation. He knows nothing. He spends all his time looking for man in van with the golden hand and then trying to get a new suit from Ecliffe Eli. But here, Rowley, run it.
I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that 2015 to 2022 were about the most difficult period in the history of independent Trinidad and Tobago. One of the things that suffered during that period was the road maintenance program. Not that we deliberately didn't maintain it, but on the list of priorities, we maintained the main arteries through the Ministry of Works, hundreds of millions of dollars. But the secondary road program suffered. That I have to admit, that I have to apologize for, and that is the reason for it.
Now, there's so much there in such a short clip from a total pathological lying imbecile. Number one, 2015 to 2022, he spent over $405 billion. He spent more money in that 7-year period than any prime minister in history. Number one. Therefore, for him to say that times were hard and we did not have money is a total lie. He spoke some truth in there because he spoke about priorities. His priorities of the cabinet is not to take care of you. He didn't come there to make sure that your health system functions and you get medicine, that your children have gates so they could study, that you are safe under security with diesel and Coast Guard and radar and a security dome. He didn't come there to ensure that your children could take part in sport and utilize their talents and fulfill their dreams. He didn't come to make sure that you all have grants for differently able, for the blind. He didn't come there to ensure that pensioners could be seen about. He came there to ensure that his friends and his financiers get contracts, that his ministers get recusals. He is the #1 prime minister in the history of the Caribbean for cabinet recusals, which means cabinet ministers who are benefiting from decisions being taken by cabinet. His priority was to build and make sure that Noel Garcia could spend money, every cent, and build airport, hospital, central block, health facility, community center, police stations, fire stations, sports stadia, Red House, refurbish those magnificent 7, build President's House, Tobago Prime Minister residence, and every house in Trinidad and Tobago, including Skinner Park, 131 million. That was Rowley's focus, that Noel Garcia, one man, must spend all your money. His other focus was to procure vessels, crash the sea bridge, send home the Canadians BAE, give Magellan, who is a Sarabai of a PNM, the contract, Express and Spirit crash down, mash up the sea bridge, mash up Tobago, then he and Stuart Smallpin go and spend 1.5 billion of your dollars to procure vessels. That was his priority. When he lied and said the port board didn't find any vessels and they had found 11, of which 4 were very satisfactory vessels. Rowley's priority was to ensure Petrotrin shut down, to ensure that the investigation into his friend could go nowhere. Rowley's priorities was to ensure that Nikwan, another PNM financier, could get assets of the country at chicken feed, could get the gas of the country at chicken feed, and then flop. Rowley's priorities were not about serving you, not about using your taxpayers' dollars for you, but he told you that. But just like Manning, all you didn't listen to Rowley. All you didn't listen to him when he said, you have to wean off the government. The money, your taxpayer dollars is not for you, not for medicine, not for Panadol, not for oncology drugs, not for dialysis, not for your children to get textbook. That man cut textbook grant that Tim Gopi Singh and Kamala had. 133 million for you, your money to for textbook for your children. That man cut it by 100 million a year for 7 years, 700 million. That man cut gate to pay your children tertiary education from 726 million under Fazal Karim and Kamala to 300 million, 426 million by 7 years. That is nearly nearly $3 billion. That man took your money, wean you off of your money, and sitting down there telling you he had different priorities.
Why he built in this country has to be built by the government. Every school, every health center, every this, every that, because in this country, for the last generation or two, we've grown up under government. Well, you better begin to be weaned off the government.
And you'll vote for that. So your hospital are no bed. Nurses, orderlies lifting up nurse when it flood in the ward to walk them through while pushing wheelchair through the flood water. Nothing in the hospital working. But Rowley Bill with Emil Elias, his contractor that Manning say is his favorite contractor in Trinidad, along with Warner Construction in Tobago. He built an administrative complex, beautiful building by the Savannah, the gorgeous. 100 and whatever, 50, 60 million to what? To administer the pain that you are getting from the poor service in the hospitals. That's Rowley's priorities. And he tell you vote. This is the hospital. This is Mount Hope Hospital. Look at it. Well done, Archie. So the man a lie. And then he come to tell you sorry. So why you didn't tell me sorry about the Attorney General who lied and perjure himself in the US and then lost a case of $20 million because he didn't put in a defense and ball, the file lost. And then you prioritize $800,000 for a report into a file that wasn't missing to be handed by the man who lied about the file missing. Hey Rowley, your priorities was to shut down and make up and go to Houston and negotiate gas price and make NGC lose money for the first time. The man has no priority. This priority is not you. But yet he's telling you, vote for him. And some of y'all taking that basket. Wake up.